I always love that one because it's just a great example because it's bold. She was sitting there kind of alone, but I guess you had connected with her. And you walked over and looked at her and said, something like, "Oh my God, you're beautiful. Look at you. Some guy's going to try to fuck you tonight. Don't you let him fuck you. Don't you do it." And then you took off. So welcome to this episode of Becoming Fearless. Today we've got Zan Perrion back for his second interview. I've interviewed you once before here in Bucharest, by the way, at Laboratory, and that was awesome. And a lot of people have been asking for more. They've been asking for us to go deeper. And since you and I have been doing more and more together, we've just put on an event together. It was amazing, by the way. I wanted to get Zan back in the studio to go a little deeper, to talk about stuff I've been seeing, realizations I've been having, and really watching Zan work is a pleasure. Because Zan, so many coaches, what they do is they teach technique. They teach 1, 2, this is how to do it. This is the steps. Zan models. He actually shows it to you. He gives you the energy, the feeling, the vibe. He takes you out and plays with it and kind of dances with it with you. And if you just pay attention and watch and feel him when he's doing stuff, you actually start to pick it up almost automatically. And that's the beauty of Zan. And then I think early on that was essential in my growth when I watched you in those old, that art of, what was it called? The art of what?
The Way of the Natural.
The Way of the Natural, yes. The Way of the Natural. That series was amazing. So welcome, Zan.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
So we were just at a seminar in Amsterdam.
Yes.
I spoke at your seminar and got this beautiful bracelet. One of your students made it, not you. And it says on it, "Beauty needs a witness." And this is one of the things that I take to heart. I think about it all the time. That's why I've been wearing it a lot. The power of this is so insane when you actually use it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
About the phrase "beauty needs a witness"?
Yeah, because I think it's really at the core of what you teach, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, it is the core of what I teach. Beauty is at the core of what I teach, which means we're missing beauty in our masculine nature. We're missing beauty in our feminine nature. We're missing beauty in the polarity thereof. We're missing beauty in relationships and just in the world in general. It's a very heavy energied society we are in these days, and there's no lightness and fun and beauty, or it's rare. So when I talk about beauty needs a witness, that phrase to me means that in the energy of a man being fully authentic him and presenting himself to the world in his authenticity, beauty arises, how do I say this? Beauty abounds around him, or beauty uncovers around him, if that makes sense. So, women and men are suspicious. We have to have a suspicious nature in relationship. And it's like, we're cautious and we've been burnt and jaded and the whole thing. And I think beauty needs a witness is permission for her to show up as a beauty, because that's how he is going to see her. That's what I've been saying for years. It's like there's a type of man when they interact with women, all women, I don't care if it's an 80-year-old woman, she's still a girl. They delight in her being, he's a man, she's a woman, and he delights in that possibility, yeah, or that potential, or that there's a female energy, that creative force of the female energy that wraps around him, and he's in love with it and can't help it. And so beauty needs a witness. Women who are guarded and closed and maybe jaded and suspicious around this energy open up. It's the way it works.
They become little girls in a sense.
They become the dreamy side of them that they used to have when they were, young and innocent.
Giggling, laughing, bouncing around. And what I noticed is when you do that, they specifically start becoming it for you, the witnesser. And that's the beautiful part is we get the benefit of that. And I love it. Yeah. And so many relationships, you see them walking around and the man's numbed out to the woman's numbed out. Nobody's doing that anymore. Yeah. And there was another thing, as you said that, I was thinking about Romania actually. And this is, they used to call it Little Paris here, right? And Bucharest, yeah. and there's gorgeous buildings, all these old buildings from before communism. And you realize the importance of beauty when you compare all the buildings they built after communism, the block buildings, and how much we need, because you're inspired seeing these beautiful buildings, and you see the communist buildings and your spirit goes like this.
Just a block chunk.
And it's the same thing. When you walk around and witness your girl, she's going to make an extra effort to be beauty for you every day.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. I see that in your girlfriend.
Yeah. I think my girlfriend's the most beautiful.
Yeah.
And, but boy, it's something you call forth as the man. It's your role to, and most men don't realize that they get married or they get the girlfriend and then they're like, okay, I got that handled. Now I'm off to my career and I'm going to do this for her and the kids. And I'm working so hard and endless distractions, and she can't get the attention of him. And they have this battle and she's saying, well, listen, we want more. I want to see more of you. I want more energy from you. And but I'm working so hard for you and the kids.
Yeah.
Because I want to get a nicer house and better, he's sincere in that. But they are, she's basically saying, we don't want a nicer house. We want you.
Yeah.
We want you. We want to have this. So as a man, it's incumbent upon you, I think, to lead that interaction, to say, to call forth the beauty of your woman.
Mm-hmm.
And not just say, okay, I'll buy her flowers on Valentine's Day. And, if you don't proactively, consciously praise your girl and keep her, bringing her to life, just like you do for yourself, same kind of like recoveries and beautiful moments you try and call forth for yourself, then everything falls apart.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic you bring up because I watch you do this. You do a phenomenal job with it. And there's a thing that I notice a lot of clients run into with this. They think that when you say you got to witness or be there for your woman, as David Data would say, be fully present for your woman. They think, oh my God, I got this job to do. I got this to do. I got to be with her. It's overwhelming. How much attention do you think she like one of the things he talks about is not being half there when you're with your partner. So it's better to be there with her less time, fully present, than all day, half with your work, half with her. And can you talk about that a little bit? What's your experience? How much time does a woman really need you there witnessing her? And how much time? Because sometimes he's got to be at work. Sometimes he's got to deal with stuff, right?
Yeah, I'll say not much time at all. It's not the that you have to sit there and stare at her, and run her a bath and every night and sit there and read to her.
Yeah.
I don't mean that, because we do have busy lives. It's not the time spent. It is the quality of just your little drops of moments that you give to her when you do have a chance. And it's as simple as a note of appreciation as she's walking through the room. It can be that simple. Say, and you can say, my girl, my sweetie, you look so great. I just want to say it, and let her go. You don't have to sit there and make this big giant event and take her hot air ballooning every weekend. And it's just dropping those little seeds that she feels noticed. That's all it is. Beauty needs a witness. And all it is doing is having her feel that she's seen by you. And that's what they don't have. That's what women in relationship don't have. They don't feel like they're seen by their partner. They're an accessory, or they're just something that's attached to the other part of their life, for instance.
And what's neat about women that I've noticed, when you start to get the handle of this, and you can tell me your experience on this, they actually, when you haven't given them enough of it for that day, they'll kind of ask for it. Not directly, but indirectly. They'll do something, they'll say something, they'll make a comment. And it usually won't, if you have to listen, because it won't make sense at first. Then you realize, oh, she just needs a little attention. She needs to be witnessed.
Women will always cause, quote unquote drama.
Yeah.
If their man is not feeling and not got any kind of energy, they'll start a fight just to feel something from this guy, just to feel some kind of okay, he's still alive and he's here. And so they will cause an unnecessary, uncalled for, ungrounded fight for, or trouble until he gets exercised and is angry, and because they have to feel something.
Yeah. It's interesting because my ex-girlfriend, she was amazing. And we had that exact same thing. So one day she comes to me and we're sitting there having dinner. She just made me dinner. She looks at me and she goes, Brian, we need to talk. And I'm like, oh, here it comes. And she goes, Brian, sometimes I think you just want me for sex. And I'm like, to myself, well, this week we've gone to dinner.
It's also the food preparation.
Yes, the food preparation. Yeah. I was thinking this week we did all these things where we didn't have sex. So that's obviously not true. That doesn't make any sense at all. So I sat there and looked at her for a minute, and I was taking her in, and she goes, what? I go, well, I'm just listening. I want to take in what you're saying. I want to try it on, make sure. And then I looked at her, I kind of went over the week, and it hit me. I'd been so busy at work, so busy doing things that I hadn't witnessed her enough. And she thought that I was just hanging out with her until it was time to have sex. So I said, I get it in my head. And I grabbed her by the hand, said, come with me. Took her to the bed, which wouldn't make sense to most guys. Laid her down on the bed, wrapped my arms around her and held her. And that was it. Told her how beautiful she was. And she loved it. She just relaxed. I felt her whole body relax in my arms and it was gone. I'm sure you've had a lot of moments like that.
I'm telling you, that's the only thing that in relationship, that's the only thing really that, well, I say a lot of absolutes. So I always say, this is the eighth wonder of the world. And the next thing is the eighth wonder of the world.
Life's full of contradictions.
Yeah, so I'll say it like that anyway. That's the only thing that women in a relationship really want, is to be seen and to be noticed and to feel lovely in the presence of him, to feel lovely. And if you can give her that with the little things you say, it's simple. You don't have to take a bunch of time and do all this kind of stuff. The things you say and the way you look at her and the way you celebrate her in your life, when you're out with her and you're proud of your girl, and she can feel that. She's not feeling so in shape or whatever. And she's thinking, well, I don't like the way my legs look or something, but you're celebrating every moment and giving her that great, I don't know, assurances, I guess you could say. And women blossom in that. They blossom in that way, it's yeah.
So let's talk about that, because I think I want to go a little deeper with this. Some guys do this and have bad results. They start to give a lot of attention to their partner and the woman starts to push back. And I see it as the difference between you doing it and a nice guy who's trying to get something doing it. Can you talk about the difference in that?
I think it's this. The little attentions and romantic gestures that you do in relationship don't work outside of a relationship when you're trying to get a relationship. If you're this attentive guy and you're staring at her and following her around and writing her a little love note to your wife, that's a pretty good thing to do. But if it's a girl you just met and you went on a date with her, that's not so good.
Well, can we talk a little bit about, because I know you talk a lot about this. I love to talk about groundedness, but you talk about that downward energy.
Yeah. And
I find personally that if you're doing these things without that downward energy, it can be, I don't know if overwhelming is the right word, but it can be almost overwhelming for a woman. Can you talk about that downward energy in relation to that?
Yeah, it's our blocked lower energy that goes from our heart into the world. I've talked about this a lot. We have this upper energy that goes into the world from our heart as men. And the problem is all of the instruction out there and all the dating advice and all the things you read is how to be more upper energy, which is how to be a better conversationalist, how to be more funny, how to have this, be more entertaining. And if you're only that, you're the nice guy. You're at least you're not in your basement suite, playing on your computer, but you are the nice guy. And women like to be in your company. They like you, but they don't have a lustful aspect for you because there's no lower energy that's at the same time mirrored with that. And the lower energy is a man's danger and his dark forest and his desire to bend the world over, and his mystique and his mischief and his scoundrel energy. And I've said for years, if you're not a scoundrel, you're nothing. It's the truth. You're just a woman will date you and it's nice. Yeah, it was pleasant. She talks about, yeah, he's a good guy. But if you don't have that little bit of spark of playful, teasing joy, because it's joyful and it's fun, then there's nothing in her to be to have attention that she can dance around and come a little close and then not too close. And then they need that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's the difference between the nice guy who's super attentive. What do you need to be happy? And you're beautiful, saying it from that nice guy. And then the scoundrel who says, he's a pirate, the bad boy, who says, I can easily say no to you. I can easily spank you. I can easily bend you over. And at that point, when she knows he's not afraid of her, he says, and you're beautiful. And it means so much more from that guy.
Yeah, because like speaking again about the lower energy, which is our sexual nature, if you're only upper energy, you're the nice guy that's pleasant. You're pleasant to be around. If you're only lower energy, now you're an intrusive creep, and it's too heavy, and it's like, wait a minute, you can't be, like that's inappropriate. That's the response you get all around. So the idea, which is the ideal, is to have this beautiful lower energy that's thrusting into the world, because that's your sexual energy, which is a great thing. And it is completely balanced and wrapped up in the upper energy, which is charm and empathy and respect and kindness and humor and all these beautiful masculine energies that are upper energy. Mm-hmm. My analogy of upper and lower.
It makes me think. The words came to mind is I'm gonna fuck the shit out of you, but I'm gonna respect you while I do it. It's kind of funny. It's kind of an interesting combo. Can you talk a little bit about? And I've never asked you this question, so it'll be an interesting question. Can you explore how you developed that lower energy? Because I know you talk about you didn't start with it.
Well, no, I definitely started with it. I've been a horn dog since very young. I love women. I love the way women are shaved.
But I think even nice guys can be horn dogs. Okay. But when they get in front of a woman, it all comes up.
Well, here's my point. It's like I didn't develop anything. I just uncovered it.
Isn't that everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said this weekend, men watch a lot of porn. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're not horny and have a sexual desire. They just shut that off from any part of the world because in society, they're worried about the toxic shame of it. But it's like, in my whole thing, growing up Canadian, growing up without any real education, certainly not a social education, I was always like, I was hiding any kind of sexual energy at all, which is our creative energy, which is where everything beautiful about man stems from. And so I'm blocking that off and trying to be logical and trying to say things with my words and in my head and trying to be more interesting, more funny, more things to say, more conversationalist. And there's and my lower energy, my sexual desire, my dark forest energy was completely blocked and hidden. And so I didn't have to develop anything. I just had to learn to with kindness and empathy and respect of the upper energy, show it to the world, to everyone. The 80-year-old woman, the entire room has to feel your presence like that.
And so how did you begin uncovering that?
Sure. That was I'm 50-ish. I'm 50-ish now. And I spent my 20s trying to be cool. And I went to a bar 4 nights a week, standing there like this, waiting for something to happen.
I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there right now doing that, watching this video.
Too insecure to go to say anything. I didn't know what to say. I was running out of things to say.
You said you spent 10 years doing that.
At least.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 10 years going out 4 nights a week. So I was 20 years going out to bars. But this time I was going, wait a minute. The light bulb started going off slowly.
Now, by the way, for all you freaking out there were no coaches, no mentors.
Exactly. This is pre-internet.
Nobody had this video to watch.
No. There was no instruction. I had nothing. So because there was no instruction, I didn't know what to do except to go to where I knew women were, which was like a bar or lounge. And I would just stand there. And I had no clue. And I slowly pieced it together. Like my 20s was just me insecure and lost, lonely. And yeah, I was lonely. And then my 30s.
It's awesome you could admit that too. A lot of people try to cover that shit up.
Yeah, no, it was a really tough time for me, but I kept going out. I wanted to understand this. I said, I'm going to dedicate my life to figuring this out. Then my 30s, I got moments of clarity and light bulb moments, but little ones. Just like, huh? Wait, what? she said that maybe it means this, because I remember last 30 times it had been in this situation. It really meant something different. And so it slowly started to dawn on me. And I had no great giant epiphanies that made me jump out of bed and go, oh, I get it now. Mm-hmm. Just a little incremental. And then in my 40s, I wrote about it. Yeah. I spent 10 years, birthday to birthday, from 40 to 50 years old, writing my book, The Alabaster Girl, which was trying to describe and encapsulate the feeling of the rhythm of men and women, not any kind of technique or any of this kind of stuff. I wanted to capture what the essence and the feeling of a man who has women in his life, and why does he have it? He's not the tallest guy, he's not very good looking, but he's always got women around. Why? So I tried to capture it from my years of experience. So yeah, that's 30 years going out to bars and all the time. I was always out and the last one home, always.
Well, just this last weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
You're here and you're coming home at 6 a.m. And
there's still girls out. What am I supposed to do,
And I love it because you have a girlfriend and she's okay with it. It's not
my
like
girl's right there with me.
Yeah, she's flirt with women. But you have that agreement ahead of time. You have that understanding.
But I don't have an open relationship with my girl. Like, it's my girl.
Yeah.
And I travel all the time, and like sometimes I travel apart, and I'm not going to jump on another girl.
But you're going to enjoy them.
But I absolutely love women.
Yeah.
And I love the female energy around me, and I need to be surrounded by women all the time. If I'm surrounded by guys, I lose my energy in like half an hour. I'm like, ugh. But I gain energy from female grace, and I love it. So I want women around me all the time. My lovely girlfriend understands and knows this, and she doesn't tolerate it. She creates it. She makes it happen for me. And I'm out with her, and I'm walking with her on my arm, and I'm talking, hey girls, we're saying hi to all the pretty girls. She's right there with me, and that's my girl. And everybody knows it. The whole place knows that that's my girl, and she knows it too.
I think that's why when I watch you, you're so loyal to her. I mean, when I look at your life, there was no woman in your life, right, that you were disloyal to, in a sense, right?
Well, for 10 years, I was traveling for 10 years as I was writing my book in a carry-on bag. And I lived for, a couple months in Austin, a couple months in Montreal, a couple months in Panama, various things like that, just traveling, hopping around. And I'd have a girl or girls, right? I was always like trying to have girls in my life. But there was, for that 10 years, it's interesting because there was no girl on earth in that 10 years that I was thinking about when she wasn't around. And like thinking, oh, I wish that girl from Spain, I wish I could see her right now, and maybe I should call her. I didn't have that. But if that girl from Spain came and into my, where I am, I'd be delighted and excited to see her. But there was no girl that I just was missing, that I was missing. And with my girl now, Deanna, I travel. She goes to work to her design job for 4 hours. And I'm like, I can't wait till she comes home. When she calls and I'm on my way home, I'm excited. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's not something that it's not something that I don't know. It's not something that I was seeking, and it wasn't something I was not seeking, I guess you could say. I was just living in the wind, being a crazy treasure hunter and
a pirate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's go back to that original question. Can you think of any way, like the reason I'm asking that question is, if there's a guy out there right now that wants to develop that lower energy, besides just sitting in a bar for 30 years, what can he do? I mean, he could come and take some workshops and seminars, and he's going to learn it. And I do recommend that. That's the fast path. If you really want some change, either me, Zan, whoever, us together, whatever, learn something, get out to a seminar. But what's something he could possibly do at home or going out tonight? Just kind of pay attention to, or look at.
If a man is sincere, and I have to be careful, because because the short answer is, be more sexually audacious. Sexually, playfully audacious. And if I say that, and it just sits out, some guys will go out there and just be turned into like the sexual predator type energies, right? And that's not what I mean. So, but if you're a sincere guy and you know that your intentions are good, and you know that you're doing your best to be funny and charming and interesting, and you have respect, and you want to have a good path forward in life, and you want others to have that as well, then, in other words, you have that solid in you. Be more sexual. Like, just just say more sexual little jokes and say more, and just express with your eyes and your voice and everything that you are a man who likes the shape of women, and you're not afraid to hide it, and you don't apologize for it. That's what's missing. We just completely block it.
Well, let's talk about that a sec, because this is one of my favorite topics with you. Is you have a unique way of demonstrating that when you go to meet women. You say, I don't really approach you do something different. And I've watched you. I've been out with you. It's a blast, actually. It's so much fun to go out with Zan because he brings so much fun to the environment. And there's a beautiful, what I call it is a dance that happens between you and the energy of the feminine, back and forth. And that's where I see you bringing that in, that energy, that lower energy mixed with the upper energy. And you do it with the things you say, the way you're being, the way you step in and out and give her a little space to say no or yes. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, my whole thing was like, I never approached girls in my 20s because I was too nervous, and the feeling that people would watch me walk over and start to talk to those two girls and they shoot me down and I have to, like, I was mortified. No way. I was too self-conscious to ever do that.
I'm thinking, so somebody watching this right now that's saying, that's me.
So I was like, I would just stand there like every other guy and just wish. But I couldn't get out my nerve to go talk to them at all. And I didn't go out with buddies who would like prompt me and push me and pour 3 beers down my throat and go talk to that girl. And you're like, so I didn't have that. So I learned, but I watched. And I would watch a guy over there straightening his tie, and I would watch the girl over there, and I would watch his approach, and I would watch the girls looking over their shoulder, and I did this for years. So I learned, long story short, I learned the rhythm of that energy of men and women, and I know what a woman's thinking in that kind of situation. I know who's available. I know who's looking around a little bit. I know who's ovulating. I can feel it in the energy of the way they're moving and standing and the whole thing. And I know who's, what the guys are thinking too, because I'm the same as all those guys that were like standing around. So, I mean, the whole thing is like, what was the question again?
So how do you, because you were talking about bringing that sexual energy, right?
Yeah.
Not to apologize for
right.
it. And you do that when you go meet women. I watch you do it. And what I would call approaching, you don't call approaching. It's the way you meet women.
Yeah, I was never, because of my insecurities, I was like, I'm not the kind of guy, and still to this day, all these years later, and I've been in the social scene a lot. I'm still not the guy that's going to walk over to that table with two girls sitting at it and talk to them. I just don't do it.
But you will walk over to that table.
No, I won't. Well, no, hold on. I will. However, before I do, there's a dancing energy that has to happen for me. I just absolutely will not cold call a couple girls sitting there, leaning over their drinks, talking about their boyfriends. I'm just not going to do it and interrupt them and be invasive and say, "Hey, girls, I just have a quick question for you." I don't do it. And so what I will do though is I will be here with you, my buddy, standing here with our drinks or whatever, and I'm always, my one eye's on those girls as I'm talking to you, laughing, joking. I'm looking around these girls walking by, looking at those girls over there walking by, and I'm still, but one eye's over here until I'm waiting for them to glance over or, to open up their energy and look toward me this way. And if they do, I let them know I see you. Like I'm talking to you and the girl looks over, I'll do a little head nod, or I'll just like, I see you girls. That without actually saying anything. I give them the little winking energy that, yeah, I see you two girls. And then all I'm doing is gauging a response, and I'm back to you. Blah, blah, blah. And I can glance over again. And if there's like down there, like whispering, like that guy just blah, 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 or they're smiling back at me, or they're doing anything like that, now I'll approach because I have an invitation to approach. They are receptive to and to being approached.
It's like their energy gets a little more feminine, giggly, bubbly.
Yeah.
Versus shrinking inward.
I only approach women if I'm about 75, 80% sure that I am invited to do so.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. And then when you approach, though, you don't stay either, do you?
No. I'm not going to stick around.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm never invasive. I'm never that hang around guy. Oh, hey, girls, can I buy you a drink and sit around? Can I pull up a chair? I don't do that. But I do go in and say something strong. I was over there with my friend Brian, and I had to come say hi to you. And I had to come say hi to you. You girls look great. Red lipstick. Thank you for that. I just want to say that. And I'll come back to Brian. I can always go back again. And the intrigue of it is why is he not hanging around, right? Because it's just, to me, it's like the natural thing is like, give them space, give them energy, let them be.
Yeah, I've seen you go over, 2-3 times and talk to girls, the same girl, because you'll go over, you'll light her up like a little light bulb, you'll step back, and now she's looking at you a little more, and she's like flirting a little more from a distance. Then you come back again, and I love the little things you say. Like you have all these little, because in your book, it's written, we've talked about this too, very poetically. But when we talked about it, you don't approach that way. You approach very direct in your words, very intentional and simple, but playful and dirty at the same time. That's a little bit dirty. And so I was thinking about the time I saw you. I always love that one because it's just a great example because it's bold. As you walked up to that girl as we were in the salsa bar, and she was sitting there kind of alone, but she was, I guess you had connected with her. And you walked over and looked at her and said, oh God, what did you say? I know the basics of it. I want to make sure I say it right.
I don't remember.
You said something like, oh my God, you're beautiful. Look at you. Some guy's going to try to fuck you tonight. Don't you let him fuck you. Don't you do it. And then you took off. And it was hilarious. And then as she started to laugh and have fun with it, you came back a few minutes later and you're like, did some guy try to fuck you yet? And then she laughs. Then she laughs some more. And you were just having fun with it.
The way I write, if you read my book.
It's a great
The Alabaster Girl.
The Alabaster Girl is a must read, by the way. It's a phenomenal book. It teaches you how to feel, because that's what seduces women, is the feeling. It teaches you the feeling of being the seducer in a dance with women. And make sure you click the link in the video that we have in this video. And if you want to get a copy.
Yeah. And now the thing is, the way I write, the way I wrote The Alabaster Girl like I said, I'm trying to capture the rhythm and what it feels like, what the energy transfer and the interaction feels like, as opposed to anything that's physically, or said, or the intellectual side of things. So it's so my writing was very rhythmic and very repetitive and had a certain tone to it and a certain energy to it. And so guys assume that that's why I talk to women, that I'm this, Fabio romance cover guy, like, staring in the eyes of all the women and I'm not at all.
No,
I'm just fun. Like I want to have fun. So I say something that's funny to me. And if she doesn't think it's funny, well, I thought it was funny, so I'm good. So,
But you often say stuff that has a little tension in it.
Oh, I'm always saying something sexual. Always. Has to have that. And I'm always making fun of myself.
I remember the one you always say all the time, you'd make a good girl for me, or you'd make a good lover for me.
Yeah, I could look at you. Look, hey, come here. Come talk to me. What's your name? You look great. You'd be a great lover for me, wouldn't you? I say that. That's an opening line. You'd be a great lover for me. I could see the way you're moving in that dress. You'd be a great lover, wouldn't you?
Now, I can already picture the guys out there saying, well, if I said that, some girl's going to get mad. How often do girls actually get mad when you do that?
Never. They never are offended by me saying something. I can say like pretty lower energy things, and they're never offended because I'm absolutely bathing what I'm saying in the upper energy of charm and respect and kindness, and like a little boy. Mm-hmm. The analogy I use all the time is like a little boy who's standing on a chair and he's got his hand in the cookie jar like this, and mother walks in the room, and he's like, and she goes, "What are you doing?" And he's like, but he's so cute. Yeah. Okay, you can have one cookie. That's everything. That's the whole energy. That's why I am with women in a bar. Okay, did you just say that? Yeah, did I just say that? Did I do that? That was me? Yeah. And then you have that great, then you have the tension and the sexual playfulness, which is missing. We're all like this great conversationalists. We go on dates and we're all up here and interviewing each other and like, oh yeah, that's nice. And what kind of wine do you like? And there's no spontaneity, and there's no fun, and there's no verve, and there's no, there's no great, there's no great sexual energy in it.
Yeah. You need that sexual energy. I mean, it's amazing to me because you said this in an interview. Actually, I forgot about it. But you said this once, and it always stuck in my head. Is These guys will go on dates. They meet women. They hang out with them all night. They get nowhere near them. They're being completely respectful. They don't want to touch them. Then at the end of the night, they want to try to get a kiss.
Exactly.
And even if the girl likes him, she can't kiss him at that point.
No.
Yeah, she might think, wow, this is an amazing guy, but my body won't let me. That's just not right. Something's not right about this.
You shift into, like, I tell guys all the time, you're fun and she's enjoying the date. You're enjoying your conversation and it's a good energy and you can tell she likes it and you're having fun. But you're not giving any display of lower energy, which by the time the third date comes around or second date, you better be displaying that I also desire you. Not only do I like to go to movies and drink coffee with you, but I also desire if you don't give her that. And then you go over to her place to watch Netflix or whatever it is, right? And you sit on the couch. Now you're going to try and turn into lover boy and turn into that. Doesn't work. You were being her nice guy best friend for 2 dates. And on the third date, you're going to try and turn into like this bedroomized zooming in on her.
Turn it on now.
Yeah, turn it on. Just like, no, it doesn't work. It's too much of a shelf.
Yeah.
It's too much of a thing to climb. And it's like,
I knew a girl who once said she just broke up with a guy and she was out basically having fun. And she told me, she goes, I went on a date with this guy and he's so hot. I've been looking forward to going out with him. I so wanted to have sex with him. She goes, I just wanted to fuck him. I just wanted to fuck him so bad. And all night long, he didn't get near me. All night long, he didn't touch me. And I knew I wanted to have sex with him. It was already done.
Yeah, all the time it happens.
She goes, the end of the night comes and we go back to his place. He goes upstairs, changes and comes out in his bathrobe like he's going to have sex with me. And she goes, I was so mad. I left that place. And she said, and I wanted to have sex with him. And, she goes, I'm not going to do it.
No, it's true.
Yeah. She almost felt disrespected. And
yeah. I wrote that in my book. I said something like, I have to remember what I said. I said a woman might be might be like, how do I put it? A woman might be a little shocked if you give her sexual advances, but she'll despise you if you don't. You know, like she might be like offended if you do, but despise you if you don't. Something like that.
Yeah, that's true. And women often get offended and turned on at the same time. I've seen that too. But
they're not really offended. That's the whole point. If you really cause offense, and she's really offended, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But they have to put on this like that kind of feeling. They have to like, no, you can't do that. That's that's inappropriate with that kind of sparkle. And and you could continue because that's you.
And that's the dance. It's the difference between them giving you lighter energy, just like us, the lighter, playful energy, or her giving you heavier, thicker energy. I think I've noticed that.
And maybe you don't, but a man knows when he's really, really given offense. Like women are great. Mm-hmm. Women are great at pretending to be offended, just to see if you can take a punch, a virtual punch, just to see if you can, am I tougher than you?
They want to see what we're made of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if I don't cause offense and I didn't do anything inappropriate, I don't defend myself and I don't explain. You didn't like that. I think you did, and you're just pretending that you didn't like it. That's what I say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's powerful.
They're looking for you to apologize. You know what they're looking for a guy to do if he says some kind of like sexual fun little joke sort of thing, and they go, that was not appropriate, or whatever, right? They're in that challenge mode. If he didn't really do anything inappropriate, and then what the guys do is go, no, you took it wrong. I was just trying to. Let me explain. I was just trying to be funny, and I thought maybe that and all that explaining is her being stronger than you.
Yeah, and at a certain point, if she's has to be the masculine or lead things, she's going to lose interest. Even if she thinks you're hot, she's still going to lose interest. She's going to walk away.
Yeah,
and that's why I see that all the time. You see it in bars. You see it all over the place. You guys think women can get laid all they want, but the truth is women are running around. Yeah, they have option and choice, but if they have to go through this dance first, which most of them want to do, they need it. Yeah, they're having just as many problems as you guys are.
Yeah, and the reason that women are like, we say, women can get laid anytime they want. The reason they're not is because they don't feel any sexual energy from men. That's also wrapped in abundant respect and safety and kindness. So they can't. So they're that's why they don't.
Yeah,
they're as horny as the guys are. They are thinking about sex more than the guys are. We think, this woman, she throws her scarf over her shoulder and she's sitting there with her legs crossed. She's so innocent. No, she's not innocent at all. women are dirtier than men and they have more perverted fantasies than men. And yet they are masters at hiding it and masking it. And we think we have to get them in the mood by doing certain little things like that. Women are always in the mood for the right guy. They're always in the mood for the right guy. And the problem is they don't get that. They get all these nice guys who are like wallowing around them, or they get these guys who are too aggressive and so there's no balance, you know? So that's why women go home alone all the time. And we go home alone because no girl would come and talk to us.
So there's a lot of nice guys out there that are just running around trying to employ this stuff. And they haven't really dealt with the nice guy stuff yet. That's what they really need to deal with, because I can picture the guy standing in the bar and he's sitting there looking at women and he's trying to use this stuff, but he's just got, the women aren't responding because they can feel from across the bar he's got this nice guy stuff going on.
Well, the problem is guys are sincere and they do want to be nice. Okay, they don't want to be an asshole, so they're sincere in that. The problem is, and this is why it perpetuates, and they're a nice guy and they're continuing being a nice guy, because they'll go on a date with a girl and she likes him. She said, okay, yeah, I'll go on a date with you. There's something in him that she likes. With this guy, she tells her girlfriends, I met this great guy and I'm going to go on a date with him tomorrow night. They go on the date, they have fun, she laughs, he can tell because he's having a blast and she's having a blast, and he knows it. You can feel that reciprocal energy. And at the end of it, you say, well, would you like to get together? She says, yeah, call me on Thursday. So he goes home excited and happy. She goes home excited and happy. And he shows up again on the Thursday. And because that energy was so good, he's more of that energy. And he keeps that, but he never ever shows a sexual energy underneath, like, or never ever brings any kind of desire into it, or a rawness or any kind of the dark side of him into this. Then there's more of the same on the second date, and she's thinking like, is this guy going to try and kiss me? Like, is he just keep talking? Is he going to try and kiss me? That happens to women all the time, and they just continue like this until she's going like, there's nothing in him. There's no visceral, nothing for me to be attracted to on a female to male energetic level. It's just an intellectual thing, or he's just an emotional connection with me, and I like talking to him, and he's funny, and but now I can tell him my problems, and he listens intently because he's just this nice guy that never ever describes that he's also I also desire you. Afraid to show it. They hang out.
That's basically the theme of this podcast, pretty much. It's or this video is men need to bring that energy. They really do. And there's a couple things here, other things I want to bring up. I really want to dive into this Zan has some amazing quotes, and I think one of the most powerful quotes he's had, and I think it kind of fits what we're talking about here for the nice guy. And we're not saying you can't be nice. We're saying when you're nice, and you
can't be just nice, only nice.
Yeah, you can't be nice out of fear. Out of fear of pissing her off. You got to be nice for real. Yeah. But you have another quote that I love. I actually put it on my Instagram and put your picture with a little quote. And it says, every great life has a great renunciation. Did I say that right?
Yeah. Every great life has had in it a great renunciation. Yeah.
And every great life has had in it a great renunciation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was writing my book, I went to Nicaragua. I thought, okay, well, I got to finish this book. So I got to go get my desert island experience somewhere and have no distractions. I disconnected from the internet. And I sat on the beach in a small fishing village in Nicaragua. And I sat there for 3 or 4 months and sweated and wore the same t-shirt and shorts every day. And the simplicity of the people and the simplicity of the energy of it and of the fishing, village people and the happiness they had and the kindness they had to each other, and just the simplicity of it was just like, the whole thing was a very simple life and energy. And then I went straight from there to doing a major, 4 months later, to Amsterdam to do a major weekend intensive, Ars Amorata weekend intensive. And I'm looking at these guys, and all I could think is, man, we're so surrounded by self-medication, self-help, self-everything. We're so self-centered on ourselves that we never think of the other. Even if, even guys are watching porn and they think, when you're finished and the screen turns dark, you're just looking at yourself. It's all about you. You're just You only have yourself to look at.
So porn will never be the same.
There's your face and only your face looking back at you in the screen, in reflecting the screen. And so, and I realized that all of these self-help things we do and all the books we buy and put on the shelf and all the programs we take and all the affirmations we memorize and all the little things we put on Twitter and Facebook that are motivational are useless. And just another absolute, because it's probably not all useless, but I'll say it like that. They're useless because if a man really wants change, he has to change everything. Everything. It's the truth of it is, if you really want to fundamentally have your life change, a rebirth of yourself, it's going to take everything you've got and more. And so my message when I came out of Nicaragua to this crowd of these angst-ridden European, came from all of Europe and States into this workshop, is I'm thinking, man, guys, and that phrase was what I came out of it, which is every great life has had in it a great renunciation. It means there is no other way. You have to renounce with full force the things in your life that are holding you down. Instead of like, I'll read another book and now I have a little bit more of an answer. Incremental changes are not enough. And most guys listening to this might nod their head, but they won't take action to do that. They'll just continue with their self-help. That's the way it is. But the truth of it is, if you really want to fundamentally change, you got to change everything. And you've got to change it like with all the fear it gives you. I don't have a bunch of money saved up. You've got to change it no matter what no matter what. And I could go on and on about that.
It's what are you willing to give up to have what you want?
You have to renounce.
People don't want to give stuff up.
No.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make sure that everybody's comfortable with their decisions, that their parents are comfortable with their decisions. They're thinking, well, put so much into this education of being this whatever, but I don't really love it. But I spend all this money. Look up sunk cost fallacy and look at that and make that part of the way you live your life from now on, sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah. I was noticing with your guys, a lot of them are telling the stories of their renunciation at the last group we had in Amsterdam. They're telling the stories like of running with the bulls and quitting a job or going out into the jungle and living for X amount of months doing things like this. And I'm like, now these are renunciations, they're amazing. You had a great renunciation.
Well,
I quit everything.
I quit my corporate job when I was.
But you didn't just quit your corporate job. It's the life because anybody could quit a job and take another one.
Yeah, I quit into nothing. I gave all my possessions. I didn't sell anything. I sold my apartment just enough that I could pay off the mortgage and credit cards. So it took me down to base zero. And then, and all my my furniture, stereos, everything, I called the ex-girlfriend and gave it all away. And then I reduced myself to a carry-on bag, which scared me. Believe me, that's a scary thing. I was scared. I laid awake at night. What am I doing? I gave up a great corporate job. I was a senior executive. Can you imagine that, me? And with full future for life there, with benefits, retirement savings, the whole thing. And I said, I can't do it. I have this spirit in me, which is the sense of freedom and sneaking through the forest like I used to do as a kid, and I had to go, something had to virtually go back to that for me. So my renunciation was I gave 2 months notice at this company and quit into nothing. Yeah. To quit into nothing. And that's a scary thing. But I tell you, what a joyous, crazy, adventurous ride it's been. I mean, yeah.
It's interesting you say all that because I did the exact same thing in a different way. Wow. I quit my corporate job and moved into yoga community, living in a bunk bed and then moving around in that community for a year, which realized that wasn't for me. But it was crazy. It opened my eyes that I didn't have to have a corporate job in a cubicle anymore. And they were all doing crazy stuff because they encouraged you to go out and take risks. And then I took the next year or so of my life and I figured out how to work for myself. At one point, I ended up living on a friend's couch for a year. And it was one of the best years of my life. I had all this, I gave up all the trappings of nice things, living on this couch, figuring out how to feed myself and pay my bills without taking a job. And I was happier than I'd ever been.
Exactly.
It was beginning to move in that direction. So I it's interesting. It's some people are are probably freaking out right now. You're saying I have to quit my job? We're not saying that. But
yeah, you have to make some steps. Like if your job is not your heart, bold steps are needed for bold changes. That's the way it is. And people say, well, I have to do this, and first I have to do that, first I have to do this and that. But as I said on this weekend in our conference, the only thing you have to do is die. That's the only thing you have to do. You have to die. Everybody has to die. All the rest is optional.
And if you get to your death, I was thinking about how, because I met a woman who worked in as a physical therapist in hospice care. Went on one date with her, and I'll never forget that day. I wasn't really into her, but as a future dating, she was a really cool person. And one of the things she told me was that she worked on people that were getting ready to die all day long. And she said most of them were miserable. And it was all for the same reason, regret over the things they didn't do.
Of course.
And she said every once in a while she'd come across one that was happy and completely content and peaceful. And it was always for the same reason. They went after their dreams.
Yeah.
And I never, ever forgot that.
Yeah.
I think that was actually a life-changing moment for me, more than I realized at the time.
I had a student who was a doctor who basically said that to me. He said, like in a room where a man is dying, an old man is dying, there's, and the family comes around, there's either one of two things. It's strange, he said. You see, the family comes and maybe they haven't talked to each other in 20 years, but they're gathered around this old man, or they've scattered around the place, and they're kind of a cold energy in the room, and it's miserable, and no one's happy, and they're not happy to see each other, but they've got to go through the formalities. And the old man's dying in this room. And he says, the nurses and everybody, they don't want to go in that room because you could feel the energy of just the disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that another man's dying in a room, and his family's coming around, and they're gathered around, and they're so happy to see each other again, and they're celebrating each other, and they're celebrating this man who gave them their life. And there's a lot of smiling and fun and flowers and joy. And he said the nurses love to go into this room where the old man's about to die. And the doctor said this to me. He says, what's remarkable, as I think about it, there's nothing in between. There's nothing in between. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
So the whole point of your whole journey through life is to create those memories, to create the relationships with people and not have that regret. So when you're an old man dying there's people that come around and celebrate who you were and what you created for the world.
Yeah. And it's really all about, in the end, it's all about giving. It's giving of these energies versus trying to get them. And the more you give of them, notice the more you witness beauty, the more beauty wants to be around you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a thing that I talked to you about it earlier, George Washington Carver. And if you don't know who he is, there's a great book called The Man Who Talked to Flowers. And it's all about George Washington Carver's life. It's a very thin book.
I knew he was involved with peanuts, but...
He was involved with peanuts. And he also, before peanuts, he studied flowers. And that's why they went to him. He basically figured out all these uses for peanuts, but before that, he figured out all these medicinal uses for flowers. Very peaceful man, simple man. He lived in this college, and he just loved to help and heal and teach. And I would say if you believe in enlightenment, he was an enlightened man. And somebody asked him once, they said, because he would spend all day with flowers, and he would just be happy and in love with these flowers. And they said, how do you figure out all these uses for flowers? And he said, it's really easy. You just love the flower so much, it reveals all its secrets. So people read this and they go, what does that mean? That's not like a 5-step process to figure out the uses for flowers. And I'm like, no, he just told you exactly what he does. It's not metaphor. When you fall in love with something, when you really love with something, think of all the intuitive hits you get, the realizations you get. And when you fell in love with women, and look what all the stuff that happened in your life. You fell in love with beauty, look at all the stuff that happened.
Yeah, I was just massively curious. And curiosity is its own, curiosity is curative. Yeah. People say, how do I solve that? Just be curious. Be curious about your own path through life. Curious about why you get nervous if you go talk to that girl. Just be curious about it. Don't judge yourself. Don't blame yourself. Just be curious. Well, that's interesting. My hands are sweaty. My face is red. And just be curious, because the curiosity and that's what women are drawn to as well. You being curious about them, not asking a bunch of interview questions, but just the genuine curiosity, exactly what you just described with George Washington Carver, to fall in love with the flower, that you just want to be around it. That's a good energy, and that's a curiosity around it. And and then you said, chance favors the prepared mind. Luck favors the lucky. And if you're thinking in this way, then things happen to you. People say, how do you get these phone numbers for the girls if you're always just going in and saying hello and then going back to Brian and going back in again? How do you close? The concept of closing doesn't make any sense to me, because if you're that guy who's putting that energy out there, things like phone numbers, they fall off the trees. It's just the way it is.
They have women want you to take them.
I went out with these guys on the weekend, and I 4 girls added me on Facebook, and I never talked to them once. And by that I mean I said a lot of things, but I never had a conversation. I didn't ask their names.
I love this concept.
I don't know where the university they're from. I don't know if they're Romanian in Bucharest. I was basically just like, hey, hello girls. You want to come to this and stand and talk with us over here? And hello, just saying hello and just dipping in, dipping out, and saying hi. Clink glasses with them, and saying things like, do you? Well, I don't, because I have my girlfriend now. But would you be my lover? You want to be my lover? You have a lover? I'm just checking. Your boyfriend's let you come out like dressed like that? Just play. I'm not asking. I don't have a conversation with them, and doing that to all the women, the ones who are like the older ones, the ones I'm not attracted to, the ones I'm still giving the same energy and, hey, hello girls, come talk to us, hello, like this. And that just, and things just materialize out of there. I never asked for anybody's phone number like that. 4 girls added me on Facebook. Okay, well, what's your name? And
I'm curious, when you do that, how many, because I know you used to do that a lot, and you build all this energy, right? The room notices you. Other women who maybe you haven't even talked to notice you, and they start to look. Maybe they even wander over.
That's important.
Yeah, and I almost think that by doing that, just having fun with women, the women that are single, available, kind of self-select. They come over and they make themselves known. They might even hit you up on Facebook. I'm wondering how often you get hit up before you...
No, not very often. Women are...
And by the way, in Europe, for you guys, Facebook's a major mode of communication, not like in the United States where everybody wants a phone number.
Yeah, we don't do phone numbers.
Yeah.
But no woman really proactively will come up, and unless she's drunk or something, and say, hey, I just saw you standing here. Like, can I...
No, what I mean by that...
But they'll position themselves.
That's what I mean, yeah.
They will position themselves so that they're happen to be dancing just out of the corner of your eye, and then kind of looking over their shoulder and dancing. They migrate and move around until they optimally place themselves to be seen.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
But then let's say at the end of the night, you flirted with them a lot, you got their phone number, or you traded Facebook, or you traded WhatsApp. Then how often do they ever say, "I was great meeting you last night," or "Hi," before you do? You ever get that? Curious.
Oh, no, a lot. But it's because your whole spirit is an invitation.
Mm-hmm.
In general, that's the idea. That's my thesis, right? Yeah. You should always be inviting. You look lovely. We're going to have a party. Brian and I are going to have a party where we're going to go someplace after this, get some food. You should come with us. We'd love it, right? I can't. I got to work tomorrow. I can't. We're a big group. I know, but it would be nice, huh? Like that invitation never, the Zan method is to put invitations in the world and leave them out there. I get it, but it would be fun, wouldn't it? I know you can't. You got to study. You got to get up in the morning. I get it. But it would be fun, wouldn't it? You could feel that, right? And that energy allows them to, it knows the invitation of it, allows them to say, well, listen, here's my phone number. Like, I can't remember the last time I've asked for a girl's phone number. I can't remember the last time. But if you say like a great statement, like a landing statement, like, I had a great time talking to you. I would like to see you again. Not, are you busy on Friday? Or you're just saying a statement like a man would do, like a leader would do.
Listen to the tone of his voice. By the way, go.
It was great talking to you. I'd like to see you again. That's because that's all I know. That's, to me, no one can take that away from me. You can't reject that out of me. I would like to see that. That's something that I know to be true. I would like to see you again. If she's interested, she might say, well, I'm married, or I have a boyfriend, or I can't. Or if she's not interested, you save each other the trouble, right? But if you say, I would like to see you again, and you don't say, can I have your phone number? I would like to see you again. Stop, land, shut up. If she's interested, she'll say, well, okay, well, here, add me on, or I'm get off work at 5, or I'm free on Thursday night. She will be the one that offers the contact information. If the girl offers you her contact information because you made a statement, I like you and I want to see you again. If she offers you the contact information, she will never, quote unquote, flake. If you send her a message, a text or something, she's going to answer it. It's the way it is. Nobody knows this.
And I think the other important piece that you said there is you invite you meet a lot of girls and you invite them all back to a gathering. Like you're always having these little, I wouldn't even call them full-blown parties. They're more like social gatherings.
Yeah, we've got 10, 12 people in space all the time.
Yeah, 10, 12 people, bottle of wine, a few musical instruments, everybody's laughing. And that's where the magic happens.
3 or 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Yeah.
And so that's another good thing for you guys to take a look at, is doing something like that. And I think that's powerful. Because what you do is, the other thing you do is you make sure everybody feels welcome and loved at your parties. You're very good at that. So we're gonna have to close up soon, but I wanted people to get that piece, because you're not just out there, you're out setting up this whole dynamic.
Yeah, from all the way
together.
from the social scene outside there right into my home and everything. It's all a celebration. Everybody's tossed into the middle and to enjoy it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I want to thank you for coming out, Zan.
Yeah.
It's always amazing. I love hanging out with Zan. We're going to be doing an event. We have the Fearless Man Live event, and we're doing an event together actually in Vegas in August. We just did one here in Bucharest. It was huge. It was wildly successful. It did really well. Everybody loved meeting with Zan. And I feel like our energies together really connected, because we taught the downward energy we were talking about and really did some work on understanding what that looks like, feels like. We bring models on stage. You get to meet the women. And then we also talked about the playful energy and Zan's way of dancing and moving and flirting and flowing. And when you mix those two together, it's a powerful, powerful element. So if you didn't get out to the one in Bucharest, I highly recommend you get out to the one in Las Vegas. So make sure you click this link now. And don't wait to get your ticket, because the closer we get to the event, the more the ticket's going to go up in price. And right now, the sooner you get in, it's actually a super affordable event. So just click on the link, check out the price. It's amazing. You get to meet Zan, you get to meet me, and you get to ask us everything you want to know in person. And that's what's valuable. And for those of you that really want personal attention, that really want to get in here and understand this personally, I recommend the VIP option. It's not that much more, but for the VIP option, you get to sit up front, you get exclusive time with me and Zan, and you get to sit down to have dinner with us on Saturday night and ask us all your personal questions directly. If you like what you're seeing here, definitely take advantage of that, because that's going to sell out fast. And with that said, I want to thank Zan one more time for being here. It was amazing. It's always a pleasure. And remember, only the confident really live.